People vanish without a trace, spirits speak in full sentences, and sometimes the scariest part isn't what you see, it's what you can't explain. Here are 5 of the most chilling real-life paranormal cases that still defy logic and will absolutely keep you up at night. The David Lang disappearance, a man who walked into thin air. One moment he was waving to a neighbor, the next he was simply gone. In 1880 on September 23rd, on a farm near Gallatin, Tennessee, David Lang was walking through his field in full view of his wife, children, and a visiting judge. Now the weather was clear, no trees nearby, no structures to, obstruct the view. He was mid-step and then simply just disappeared into thin air. His wife screamed, the children ran, the judge stood stunned. I mean, they all saw it. 2 men, even on a buggy nearby, also witnessed this happen and ran over to the spot where he disappeared. Now, the initial thought from everyone was that he just simply fell into a hole, which, yeah, that was my initial thought also. Now, search teams combed the field for weeks. They dug trenches, they brought in dogs, not a single footprint beyond where he'd been last seen. No hole, no sinkhole, nothing, like no signs of struggle. The only thing left behind was silence and confusion. But then things got really weird. Months later, the grass where Lang vanished began to discolor in a perfect circle. It turned yellow, brittle, and wouldn't grow. Animals refused to step into it. Horses would shy away. Even birds avoided flying overhead. A year after his disappearance, his daughter stood in the spot where he disappeared and said she thought he heard him say something. His children actually claimed they could hear faint cries in David's voice echoing from the empty space where he vanished. It was as if he was trapped somewhere else, like caught in a place between places. Now, some researchers have connected the incident to theories of dimensional, rifts, spontaneous teleportation, or even time slips. Now, Charles Fort, the grandfather of paranormal research, cited it in his writings on unexplained disappearances. Skeptics tried to debunk it, but the reports and witness statements remain eerily consistent. Houska Castle, the fortress built to seal hell. You've heard of castles being built to keep enemies out, but this one, it was actually built to keep something in. Houska Castle, also known as the portal to hell, tucked into the dense Czech forest north of Prague, was constructed in the 13th century over a yawning black hole in the earth. Locals said it was bottomless, that demonic creatures crawled out of it, that people who got too close were dragged inside. So what did the king do? Well, he built a castle, not to live in, not for war, but as a lid, a seal, a trap to stop whatever was trying to escape from the depths below. No water source, no fortifications, no kitchen, no strategic value, literally just a chapel built directly on top of the hole. So get this, when the hole was first discovered, prisoners were offered pardons if they agreed to be lowered inside the hole. So they threw prisoners into the pit, again, offering them pardons if and only if they survived. I mean, obviously that makes sense, right? Well, most didn't. The ones who did survive came out screaming, aged overnight, faces twisted in fear, rambling about clawed beasts and shrieking voices. I mean, the first volunteer was said to have only lasted literally seconds before screaming to be pulled back out. And yeah, once they pulled him out, it's alleged that he was aged beyond recognition. Hair turned completely white. He was rambling about creatures with bat-like wings crawling up the walls. And what's creepier is that the castle's chapel is built directly, literally over that hole, almost like it's a seal. I mean, the windows there are all fake. They're just kind of painted to look like windows. Fast forward to World War II, the bad guys took over the castle, drawn by its occult reputation. They sealed off entire rooms, performed rituals, and reportedly used the site for brutal human experiments. To this day, no records exist of what they were doing, but locals say the screaming started again. Visitors do report sudden blackouts, disembodied growling. Paranormal teams say cameras fall, audio gets corrupted, and investigators have been scratched and gagged by unseen hands. I mean, this place is literally open to visitors today. Like, one of you, please go. Let us know how you make out. The Bell Witch, the spirit that spoke and hurt people. Now, this is America's greatest ghost story. Imagine a ghost so powerful it spoke in full sentences. So violent, it slapped and tormented a family and even confessed to execution. The Bell Witch haunting of the early 1800s is still one of the most terrifying and well-documented poltergeist cases in American history. It all started in a small cabin in Adams, Tennessee. John Bell and his family began experiencing knocks on the walls, strange voices whispering in the night, and chains dragging across the floors. Now, at first they thought it was an animal, right? And then the voices started to speak. The entity, soon known as the Bell Witch, called out names, it recited sermons, it mocked the family's prayers. It had intelligence, like personality, and a really brutal sense of humor, but it saved its worst torment for the Bell's daughter, Betsy. She was slapped, scratched, and even lifted by her hair. I mean, her body showed marks and her screams echoed into the woods. Words got out, of course, and then Andrew Jackson, a general at the time, and later the 7th US president actually, decided to see for himself. I mean, his wagon froze on the road, the horses wouldn't move, then a voice from nowhere said, "Let him come through, I've been waiting." Like, okay, ghosty, like, say less, but also what? Like, that night, Jackson's men were attacked by invisible forces. I mean, one of them had his firearm torn from his hands and thrown across the room. By morning, Jackson was gone. He later reportedly said, "I would rather fight the entire British army than spend another night with the Bell Witch." I mean, that's extreme. I just feel like that's so dramatic. But anyway, years later, John Bell was found passed away in his bed. A small vial of black liquid was discovered in the cupboard. No one knew what it was. When a drop was given to a cat, the cat passed away instantly. I mean, the witch claimed she had poisoned him. So the Bell Witch didn't fade away. The cave near the old Bell farm is actually still active, and investigators report seeing orbs, hearing laughter, and actually being physically touched by something they can't see. The Pollock twins, a haunting case of reincarnation. Now, 2 girls pass away, okay? 1 year later, their parents give birth to twins who seem to remember their sister's life in perfect details. Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock were unalived in a very tragic car accident in 1957 in Hexham, England. Now, their parents were shattered, of course, but in 1958, Florence and John Pollock welcomed twin girls again, Jennifer and Jillian. That's when things got really weird. From an early age, the twins began to talk about their passed on sisters. They asked for toys that belonged to Joanna and Jacqueline without actually being told the toys even existed. They remembered the names of classmates and locations in a town they never visited. Jillian once pointed at a school and said, "That's where I used to go." Jennifer had birthmarks identical to Jacqueline's scars. At 4 years old, the twins passed the crash site and started screaming. They clung to each other, crying. I mean, the car, it's coming to get us. Their parents were stunned. They hadn't spoken about the accident. They haven't even told them about their sister's period. They had moved towns to avoid the trauma altogether. No one had told the girls anything. Even creepier, Jennifer would speak in Jacqueline's tone and handwriting. The girls would act out scenes from their sister's lives, but by the age of 5, the memories began to fade slowly, as if the connection was slipping away. Now, Dr. Ian Stevenson, a really respected psychiatrist who studied over 2,000 reincarnation cases, investigated the twins in person. He concluded it was one of the most compelling cases he had ever seen. I mean, the twins had no psychiatric conditions, there was no coaching, and their knowledge could not be explained. I mean, the story remains one of the strongest pieces of reincarnation evidence to date. The Dyatlov Pass incident, a mystery buried in ice. 9 very seasoned hikers went into the Russian mountains. Now, what was found weeks later still haunts the world today. In 1959, a group of experienced Soviet hikers led by Igor Dyatlov trekked into the snowy wilderness of the mountains. Now, their goal was to reach Mount Odorin. But something went horribly wrong. When rescue teams finally found their campsite, the hikers' tent had been slashed open from the inside. Now, footprints led away barefoot in the snow into like sub-zero temperatures. Their bodies were scattered across the landscape, some frozen in poses of terror. But it wasn't just hypothermia. One hiker had a crushed skull, 2 had shattered ribs, injuries equivalent to a car crash, but no external wounds. One woman's tongue and eyes were missing. Their clothes contained strange burns and tested positive for radiation. I mean, even stranger, they had orange skin, white hair, and some of the hikers' watches had all stopped. But get this, like at the exact same time. For decades, theories have ranged from, infrasound like induced panic to secret Soviet weapons testing to avalanche cover-ups to alien abduction. But the Russian government's official ruling, well, a compelling natural force. No further explanation? Sure, Jan. But no natural force explains crushed bones without bruises or radiation on clothing, or why seasoned hikers would rip open their own tent in a blizzard and flee barefoot into the night. I mean, this one is the most studied and disturbing mysteries of the 20th century, and to this day, no one really knows what happened. I'm your host, Ashley. Until next time, stay scared.